good friend Mike Petriello is here making his regular season debut. He didn't even realize that. Mike, this is your regular season debut, so the fans are seeing you for the first time. So give him a good effort. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's go. Let's get the season started.
I saw you at the Sabre Analytics Conference, and every year you get there and say, here's what to look for with new Statcast stuff, right? Things you can look up on Baseball Savant, give you some insight. So give some of the hardcore fans that watch this show some of the new things that they can get some inside info.
Sure. The newest thing that is up this year is, batter stance, right? Who's deepest in the box, who's got an open stance, a closed stance, all that. Don't forget, though, even though we just put bat speed out last year, that still feels pretty new to me. And I think that's my favorite thing right now, because if you think about things that are happening early in the season, you can't trust batting average, ERA, none of it matters. Bat speed matters. Look at this. It's April 11th. Tell me that these names, fast and slow, don't already make a lot of sense to you, right? And that's what's so cool about it. 6 or 7 or 8 swings, and you've already got the information you need. And to be clear, this doesn't mean I think Luis Arraez and Steven Kwan are not good hitters. It's just they don't swing the bat fast, and you know that already. And I really love how quickly you can get to that.
They're different hitters, right? Also, you had something at Sabre on bat speed. Now you can tell who also accelerates fast, because not all bat speed is the same going all the way through, right?
Yeah, you're getting a little bit ahead of us here. So that's going to be something that's going to be coming out in the next 6 to 8 weeks. We've got a really cool release plan. So you'll be able to get to attack angle, uppercut swings, flat swings. I'll give you a sneak preview. The 2 biggest uppercut swings, at least last season, Freddie Freeman and Riley Green, right? So you'll be able to get into who's changing their swing path, who's getting flatter, who's accelerating the most. And I think Pete Alonso is going to pop really well this year on the acceleration leaderboard when we get to it. Okay,
good. Yeah, no, he was one of the leaders. That caught my eye. Also, you have a pulled fly ball percentage. Tell us why that's important.
Yeah, this is something you've been able to gin up in the search tool for years, but we figured let's just make it easy on people. Let's make a leaderboard out of it, because this is something batters are increasingly talking about getting to. Every year, guys are trying to pull it in the air. They're talking about it, and it makes sense, right? It's a shorter distance down the pull side than it is to deep center field. And I can tell you this, these numbers may not seem huge, 15, 16, 17%. 66% of home runs are pulled balls in the air, right? If you want your power, that's what you're trying to do. Nolan Arenado, Isaac Paredes, guys like that. So we've just made it a little bit easier to get to, and it's pretty interesting to see which guys do and which guys don't. James Wood, for example, he does not do it. Doesn't have a single one this year, but he's having a great season. And if he ever figures out that skill, MVP, absolute monster.
Excellent. All right, T-Mobile Park in Seattle is the toughest hitters park in the majors. We know this. I'm going to show you park factors the last 3 years. But I know you've written about this. The old question is, how tough is it? So you tell me, how drastic is it in Seattle for pitchers?
I went very big and deep on this a couple months ago, and we could spend an hour on it, but the quick takeaways were this. Last year, right, it was a more extreme park in one direction than Coors Field was in the other direction. If you just rank most extreme, it was above Coors Field. And the reason for that is it's cold, yes, it's windy, yes, of course, the atmosphere absolutely matters, but it also creates strikeouts. It inflates strikeouts at that park, and early in the season, you are already seeing it happen. If you look at Mariners hitters so far this year, they have a 27% strikeout rate at home, which is second most, and 14% on the road, which is the least. And I know people are wondering,
that's crazy.
Wait, the park factor, that makes the ball fly, it makes home runs happen, sure, but you can make strikeouts happen or not happen too, and there's a million reasons why that might be. It could be a weirdly angled batter's eye. I think in their case, it's about the way the sun comes in and reflects off it, and the wind, by the way, the wind affects pitches too. The wind affects tailwind there and in San Francisco more than anywhere else, and I can prove it to you. Every single Mariners starting pitcher last year, and they're very talented pitchers, had a higher strikeout rate at home than they did on the road because of the ballpark.
That's so drastic. That's going to, even out a little bit, right? Do you figure, or no? It's got to.
No, it hasn't. It's been 20 years of this, right? Ask any Mariners hitter. Going back to the days of go back to the days of Edgar Martinez and Griffey and Brett Boone and all these guys. They are on the record from 2002 saying, man, it's hard to hit here. And I got to be honest, that's never really changed.
All right, the strikeout thing is crazy. All right, a bunch of veterans are off to great starts, and we can see that. Pete Alonso is one of them. George Springer is back. Paul Goldschmidt looks great. What is for real, then? If you get under the hood, exit velo, that sort of thing, is it a little good spurt, or is this something more indicative of the long haul?
Yeah, probably a little bit of both, right? And you have to go under the hood. It's very nice that George Springer is hitting like 430 or whatever, but that doesn't tell me much about anything. So if you start with Pete Alonso, he is having a start that would make him an all-time great if he could continue with a 60% hard hit and a 10% strikeout rate. I don't think he's going to quite do that, but there is something different that's happening here, and I'm actually going to give some credit to Juan Soto, because we've talked about this before, right? Protection from the front, not from behind. Pete Alonso is hitting with a runner on base a lot more this year, from 46% of pitches last year to 59% this year. Almost every hitter is better with runners on base, and what's happening here is he's seeing those fastballs, and he's going after the fastballs. Almost every single one of his extra base hits has come off the fastball. So yes, I think he's going to have a really good year. Big fan. I also think you got to credit Juan Soto for putting him in better situations too.
So is that real? A guy, the better hitter in front of you than behind you? You're just saying having someone on base, that's the big change?
I think it's part of it. I think it allows him, to hunt these pitches a little more. I think, everybody wants to talk about, well, I get protection from the guy behind me, and the stats have never proven that to be true, but hitting with runners on base absolutely helps you. So I think it's a combination of those things. Soto is helping the guy behind him, and I also think Pete Alonso is out there trying to hit for power in a way he hadn't really last year.
Okay, Springer or Goldschmidt, you can pick either one. Again, both were great players at one point. Do they look back?
Springer is a really interesting case to me because the hard hit rate is way up. It's like the top 5 in hard hit increases from last year. And to your point, you can't fake that. That's not an accident. That's not a bloop. That's just actual data. And yet his bat speed is down, which is completely wild to me. And I was trying to figure out why this is. And I think what happened is he's hunting spin. Last year, he got really abused by spin. He hit like 190 against breaking balls. And if you look at what he's doing, his swing rate against fastballs is way down. So what's happening here is he's spitting on the fastballs. He's making it clear he's not going to get beat by spin. And then I think he's timing his bat speed a little bit to those slower pitches. So in this case, the bat speed being down, maybe a little bit misleading. It's a change in approach. On the other hand, some team is going to see this, and they're going to go and just pound him with velocity until he proves he can hit that. It's the ever-present cat and mouse game.
Excellent. It's a good regular season debut for Mike Petriello. Mike, thank you so much. We'll do it again.
Thanks, Brian.
Should we welcome him? We love to talk to the general managers, executive VP and GM, JJ Picollo. JJ, it's Brian Kenny. Congratulations on all the success last year. Great to have you back on the show.
Thanks, Brian. Appreciate you having us on.
I want to take a look at your acquisitions last year. I think we'll go back to trade deadline. From last year, Hunter Harvey, Michael Lorenzen, Lucas Urseg, who's a big part of your bullpen. And then you go Jonathan India, Carlos Estevez. And then in the midst of this, I kind of like what you're doing here. There's a lot of middle-class signings, as we say, which don't happen across the board. It seems like everything's $500 million or can't pay $2.5 million. Tell me about your general philosophy.
Well, we got to understand who we are. I mean, we've got a nice core of young players, but to put players around them so they can, just enjoy the game and take some pressure off of the young guys to perform at a high level. You try to target guys that have been there before, guys that have great experience. And, with Walker and Lugo, those guys are great examples of it. But then when you look at Michael Lorenzen, he's got great experience. He just hit his 10th year a couple days ago. So there's not too many people in the world that can say that. So you're really glad to have him back in the mix. And then you mentioned Carlos Estevez. He's a wonderful guy to have on the team, but has great experience as well. So you're really just trying to target guys that blend well, understand what we're about. Our pitching staff is strong, and you always want to add to a strength. So you can, we talk about scoring runs, but preventing runs is a big part of it as well.
Yeah, Carlos Estevez is kind of proven closer. You went out on the free agent market 2 for 22. What were you thinking there? Beyond just, all right, this is not just adding an arm. This is adding an arm for the 9th inning.
Yeah, no, it's the depth of our bullpen was really important. And last year during the trade deadline, we were able to add Harvey and Urseg, and we were really happy. And then other guys came along and did a great job. Angel Zerpa was outstanding last year. Sam Long, Daniel Lynch did a great job. John Schreiber has been very steady for us, but we want power at the end of the game. And with Carlos, he provides power. He provides experience. Lucas Urseg is a team guy, and he kind of locked down the 9th inning for us in September and in the playoffs. But when we go 7, 8, 9 with Harvey, Urseg, and Estevez right now, we feel pretty good that we're going to be able to hold on to a lead.
JJ, you have a pretty free swinging club. You had the 2nd highest chase rate in the game last year. And then you go trade for Jonathan India, right? Not just a good on base, but number 1 last year in chase percentage. Also the fewest swings. Yeah. So how much did that factor in? Did you target that, or was he just? What were your thoughts on India?
No, definitely targeted Jonathan India. The leadoff spot was a hole for us last year. It was kind of a revolving door for us. We never really solved the problem. But Jonathan India takes a great at bat. And even some of the guys we acquired in August and September of last year, you can see when guys have experience in the big leagues, they know how to take an at bat. And Jonathan does just that. There's no panic in his at-bats. That had a big at-bat yesterday to tie the game, and just does a wonderful job. He gets on base, and we got Bobby and Vinny and Salvi coming up behind him, so he's a big part of what we want to do.
Yeah, 10-pitch at-bat yesterday. And, of course, you mentioned Bobby. Your superstar plays like one. Yeah. Give us something new or improved in the Bobby Witt Jr. business this year.
Yeah, well, I think what we're seeing is a steady improvement in his pitch recognition and his plan at the plate. He understands that he's not going to get a lot of pitches to hit, so I think you're going to see his walks continue to rise. And that's exciting for us because when he gets on base, good things happen when he's on base. And the defense just continues to get better. There's not a night that we leave the ballpark without shaking our head at something he's done. And it's just a fun player to watch, and he's great for the game.
No question. I know he leads the way. But you've refashioned your club around your rotation. Chris Bubich is your own first-round pick. I think it was a sandwich pick. He's 27 years old. And you see the struggle, the injuries, the struggle at the start. But now this year, 2 starts, 6+, shutout ball. Tell us how that's happening.
Well, before he got hurt, we really thought he started to turn a corner. He added a slider to his arsenal, and that was a big difference. And even though it was just a couple starts in 23, we're gaining a lot of confidence in him. And then watching what he did in the playoffs last year, really on a rehab year, was outstanding. But because of our confidence in him, it led us to making that trade to get India and going back out and signing Lorenzen. And we felt like our starting rotation, even with the loss of Singer, we were able to make up for that with the confidence we had in Chris and going to get Michael Lorenzen.
You know, I saw a guy in your club yesterday, Tyler Tolbert, and as I'm thinking about it, it's like, wow, he's a speed guy. Look at his stolen bases in the minors. It's absurd. And I'm thinking, yeah, so it's kind of like Terrence Gore and Jared Dyson. Those are your guys. Those are Royals. Look at this.
Yeah.
I think if my math is correct, 150 steals, 9 caught stealing, and this is a little more. This is going back several years. But, I mean, tell me about that. Why is that a philosophy seemingly with the Royals? We're going to get some raw speed here.
Yeah, well, we saw it work 10 years ago, and we know when we're trying to game plan for the other team, when they have that weapon on the bench, you have to think about it. And with Tyler, he's done a great job through his minor league career. He's fearless on the bases. He's got a skill. It's not just his speed, but he's got a skill to steal bases, and that's huge for us. We're going to play in a lot of close games, and to have him on the bench come in there, and right now Dairon Blanco's out with an injury, he stepped in incredibly and done a wonderful job. He's worked so hard at it. He understands where the strengths are, and just glad that we have him. It's a big weapon for us.
You know, JJ, just one last thing. You're 20th in payroll, but you've been pretty transactional. If you're contending, can you add? Do you figure to add at that point?
Yeah, I don't see why we shouldn't or couldn't. Our owner, John Sherman's been great. He understands how this thing works. We have a great relationship. And when we talk about the trade deadline, I think we're in a position that we could add to our payroll. And, hopefully we're performing well and we're in that position because they're good things to talk about. But I don't see why we would slow up.
All right. Did it last year. Hope you do it again this year. JJ, great having you on the program.
Yeah.
I'll see you in Kansas City next month. Thank you so much.
Sounds good, Brian. Thank you.
Thank you, JJ Piccolo, Kansas City Royals, exciting club.